Shaw wasn't up there on Saturday mornings teaching the Sabbath service class. It was Ariyah. Mo was there, but he was teaching.
Ariyah taught the Hebrew.
He taught the Hebrew
guy. And all you niggas that can't, and we're gonna get into the whole rape issue too, because Brother Polite, okay, he's a convert now to the Blue Letter. He's going into the Blue Letter. I wonder why. How did he come across the Blue Letter?
It came to him in a dream.
Verse 4, and declared to be the Son of the Most High with power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith.
That means send forth.
Read that again. Read that again.
By whom we have received grace.
Grace. We had GMS, the elders, the apostles have received grace, and the young brothers under us, the GMS babies. Go ahead.
And apostleship.
Go ahead.
For obedience.
We're being obedient. Go ahead.
To the faith.
None of them guys are big. That's why they can't call themselves apostles, man. They became elders when we call ourselves elders, but then we became apostles. None of them guys became apostles. Why? Because they're not going by what the scriptures are saying, man. Obedience to the faith. Any man that's saying that Cornelius is an Edomite, you're not an elder, you're not an apostle, you're not a deacon, you're a nobody, man. You're a lost, wandering soul. Go ahead, Ak.
For obedience to the faith among all nations.
That's talking about the Israelite foreigners, assholes. Okay.
For his name.
That's for IU.
For his name. For his name. That's why Nate had to call himself a bishop. He said, the guys call himself, they went from being an elder to the apostle. Now, I can't call myself an apostle because they'll get on me about it. But I'm going to call myself a bishop. And nigga, if you look up the word bishop is another way of saying elder. You dummy.
And we saw your school, Nate. By the way,
2 weeks later.
Yeah, we drove right by your school, so we know what it looked like, man. I was a little taken back, man, because I thought it was like some big, nice-looking church. That shit is a goddamn garage, man. It's a beat-up-looking garage, man.
No, with the exposed wire.
No, that's it. That's it. We
that's it. Oh, that's it.
I showed them. I'm gonna show you guys where the school's at.
It ain't the Taj Mahal.
What was it?
It looked like a damn garage up in the Bronx. It looked like a straight up garage.
It was a chop shop.
Yeah. It looked like a chop shop. It looks like an actual chop shop. Like they got cars in there.
It looked like something from that movie. I was watching the movie the other day, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh yeah.
And they had the what's the guy? Robert Duvall. He was waiting there. You ready? You got the car. I'm gonna open up the gates. Open up the gates and shit. Then they'll come in and they'll close the gates and they'll chop the car up.
Yeah, man. So Nate, you talking shit about our garments and dirty fringes, man? Give me a break, man. Yeah, man. You and that Lorna Doom head, second in command of yours, Deacon ASAP, man. Non-rapping Lorna Doom head nigga.
Verse 6, among whom are ye also the called of Yahushai, to all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints.
To all that be in Rome, so I guess that means they were Romans, right? They're Edomites. Yeah. That means Paul was trying to save Roman Edomites, right?
It ain't talking about Rome, Chattahoochee, Georgia. It's talking about Rome, Italy, man. Because we were living up in Italy at one time. You guys are gone, man.
Paul himself called
himself a Roman. He had Roman citizenship.
He had dual citizenship because he was an Israelite. He was working with the Pharisees. He was an officer, basically a cop, a special agent for the Pharisees and scribes. He spoke Hebrew. He was raised up around Israelites. He kept the law and Greek, right? But then he also came up. He learned the Greek and that Latin, and he was also schooled in the ways of the Romans.
Not he said he knew Latin to Greek.
Greek, yeah.
Greek.
Does the Latin come from the Greek?
It kind of stemmed from certain words, but Greek is Greek because we used to teach that, but there's no scripture that says that he spoke Latin. But I mean, because a lot of them Romans spoke Greek,
Right. The translator of the Hebrew Bible, King James, he spoke Hebrew, He spoke Latin. He spoke Greek. He spoke Italian. He spoke French.
Yeah, and he had actual, 54, 52
54
translators that knew the Hebrew, Greek, and so forth.
And he was a
and
Scot.
translated into the English.
And he was a Scot. So I guess
He
that
wasn't
means
no homo. Okay?
right. And he wasn't a homosexual. And he was a Scot. I guess that means he was a so-called white man.
We found his likeness.
Because he was a Scot. That's one of the reasons why King James
Well,
was
he was an
hated.
Englishman, so he had to be white.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one of the reasons why King James was hated, because he was a Scot ruling over the English throne. And the English didn't really, they had a deep hatred for the Scots. Now, if you know history, that was really black on black crime, because it was so-called Negroes at that time predominantly living in those areas. Some of the slaves actually came from Europe, came from England, came from Portugal, came from Spain, came from Ireland. You had slaves that came from Ireland. They don't tell you that. You had a slave port in England called Liverpool. You had slaves coming out of Liverpool, England, this place where the Beatles are from. So
a lot of those main musical groups came out of Liverpool, man.
That's
So
right.
A lot of them look like crackers,
Yep.
but a lot of them were Jake,
Yep.
man.
yeah, to add, what is that? Freddie and the Dreamers. They had a thing called the Mersey Beat, which was named after a river, I believe, in Liverpool, the Mersey River. And you had groups like Freddie and the Dreamers. You had Jerry and the Pacemakers. You know, you had the Beatles. Of course, out of all of them, the most famous were the Beatles, right? So those could have been so-called Negroes that picked up on Jake's rhythm and made records. All right, what's that? Herman's Hermits. All right, that guy Peter Noon, you know, from Herman's Hermits. Yeah. So what the elder Apostle Tahar said is correct, man. But you guys see, you guys are one-dimensional, man. All you know about is shit dealing with the ghetto, and that's it.
Yep, that's right.
You know, your whole world is that slimy pit called the ghetto, and everything outside of it, you don't know about it. And then, anyway, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and the first slaves, contrary to popular belief, came out of Europe. They didn't come out of Africa. They came out of Europe first. They were shipped over to this side of the world from Europe. You know, matter of fact, Christopher Columbus' son, Diego Colon, he was a slave trafficker. You know, so they were first coming over here as early as the 1500s. You know?
Yeah, well, Oprah, what's her name? Oprah Winfrey, when she so-called checked her line, didn't it go back to Europe? It went to England, or I don't remember.
A bunch of those Jakes, their line went back to Europe because you had Europeans all up in Europe, man. It was us that made Europe great.
King James, we found out that King James coined the term Great Britain. The term Great Britain came from King James. Now, King James was a so-called black man. All right? So Britain was great because so-called black people were living there. All right? And then later, down the years, they got traded for slaves. They got sent into slavery and brought over here to the Americas. So this is history that you guys don't know about.
Right, I got something else. I want to do this again. If it don't come out good, you can the producer can go over it again. This is bring the mic up here.
And that proved polite. That's what you black conscious guys. I'm gonna speak while the apostle's doing that. Y'all not deep, because if you want to talk about black history, how come none of you guys know that blacks ruled Europe for 1,000 years? If we was to tell polite that Charlemagne was a black man, he said, man, you guys are crazy, man. Because you ain't deep. You guys are not deep. Okay? Like Apostle Tahar said, you're on a kindergarten pre-K level, man. Okay? You guys, you don't know that. And you other so-called Israelite groups, y'all not deep. You know? Y'all guys are not deep.
All right, when you're ready, play it. Tell me if you can hear it.
You're gonna tell one of these brothers here. You know the doctrine. You know how we get when you get. Answer it. We just told you that. How would y'all respond in this time?
You know what? Let me get it on the other. How about now?
If it did happen, you would allow it to happen.
A lot better?
So you go